console. Come on.
Well, that's what we want to talk about is moldy cheese on his. Nobody watches his channel anyway. I get muzzled half the time he's doing anything. You can't say that. You can't curse. That's half my language right there. This too. I can't believe he can go every other. Han! A whole sentence without the F word. It takes some work. I love Grace's expression of, are you kidding?
Oh. Oh, look, it's Mrs. Root and Baby Root.
Baby root. Baby.
I say Baby Root. Baby Root. So what does that make you? Oh, crap. That gives you Ray's Poppy Root. Or I could just, Papa Root. Papa Root and Oma Root.
Oh boy.
Hi, Grace. I need to look in, like...
Are you video?
Yeah. Hidden spots. Mystery fans. So, obviously we're not in Studio Subaru today. Big, empty spot. Like car fit in here, like maybe Studio Subaru. I guess we must be up to something today. What are we up to? That's coming at you. So guys, today we're going to play with some suspension. We're going to put in the Subtle Solutions 1/2-inch rear lift spacers. I think they call them the saggy butt spacers. If you recall, we talked about it a little bit. My summer tire setup, we get a little bit of fender rub. So I'm going to be looking for somebody to roll my fenders as well. I'm not quite confident in doing that, so we're going to have that done. But we're going to get into that. We're going to attempt to put in the Cartboy shift stop and the Cartboy short shifter. Try and go over that a little bit. I threw on an in-focus weighted shift knob, which I didn't do any review on. I'll show you guys what it looks like, what I went with. But I will say that shift knob alone, just that weighted shift knob, makes those shifts so much cleaner. So there's a crispiness to it that I really didn't expect from a shift knob. Other than that, I think it's time to get the action going. So here we are. Naturally, this is stock. And I don't know if you guys can see it super well, but there is about a 1/2 inch of sag in the rear of this car. And that's just the way they are from the factory. We're going to try and take that out, get a little bit more of a level sitting. Not looking to lower it. Do I think lowered cars are cool? Sure. But that's not quite the goal here. That tint job. Doesn't it look good, guys?
Han is mostly just excited. So what are you two doing? Putting things out where Grace can get them? Chemicals. Great idea.
See, this should just lift up.
Are you going to teach your cousin to be addicted to Cheetos like you are?
It's a bright light.
So my Aunt Rebecca got basically kicked out of work. She has allergies.
On Solo. This can stay these down. This can stay. Yeah, so we gotta get this
Get the COVID testing.
off,
She's like, I don't have a fever.
and then the
No
sides.
place is going to give me the test if I don't present the symptoms. Wait, what kind of doing free tests? So when we walked across
So what we're doing
the walkway, the skyway,
is stripping out
the parking lot over
the
when you looked out.
interior of the trunk to get to. Yes, Grace, you show him. Point at the shock cats.
So when if you're walking towards the hospital and you look out
Yep.
right, that whole
We gotta get the shocks. Yep. So we gotta strip out the trunk
They had
so we can get to the tops of the shock. You have a lighter one?
That is the only one of those I have.
Oh.
Time to go Harbor Freight. We'll see you girls later. We're going to Harbor Freight.
What? Going to Menards.
We can go to Menards too.
Why are you going to Harbor Freight for?
I don't have a set of body molding tools, and to pull these clips out, it's better to because they there's a bunch of different styles, but they make tools to get up under and pull them out.
Did she just say just pull them?
No, she said who's paying, and I'm thinking as good as I look, they give me shit for free.
Okay, go. Pour yourself out there. Whatever makes money. Between the two you bears, you can go make some money in Cleveland.
These are regular
Dirty
Christmas
ass.
trees.
So they're talking about.
I have no idea.
I'm really surprised that Silvex hadn't called me back.
No.
Because it's Friday. I would have thought by now he'd call. But I guess called him.
Okay. Okay, I see what they are.
This is his test.
I like these style. Now that I know what they are.
They just pull out the
Point
of separation.
Yeah, pull the black one out.
And she told Jamie, he goes, yeah, write that down.
Don't get old. Bifocals suck. Not being able to see up close sucks.
His
So
case
you have to
during this
bifocal.
meeting because
Yeah, that makes sense.
about if things
Yeah, once you
work
figure them out.
maybe doing full body radiation.
Grace, you helping us?
Don't matter.
No kid.
No kid. So guys, this is what you end up with. Ultimately, for the sake of simplicity, this panel here could be pulled. Gonna give you a 1/2 inch. You don't have to twist quite as much, but it's not a big deal. Here and there are gonna be the bolts for the tops of our shocks. Okay, guys. So, well, you can't really see. So what we did was unbolted from the hub assembly here, unbolted the shock, and unbolted the sway bar. Allows that control arm to drop out real easy. We also took the inner wheel well out. The biggest nightmare we seem to be encountering is going to be this assembly These are pressed in, so we're gonna have to press those out. Other than that, it's not terrible. You just have to take a handful of things apart that you might not be expecting, at least coming from trucks. It's just a bit of a surprise. So this thing comes with, what would you call these, Dad? A locking washer?
Yeah, they are knurled.
So it goes one at the head of the bolt.
Let me get it to focus. Okay.
Then that comes up. The other one sets on top of this, on top of your perch on your shock. And then you run this nut down, and these are all supplied. You will end up reusing your top nut in the car, and the way the directions had read, I'm not going to swear that I'm doing this right, but the way that the directions had read was to just run it down snug. And it's the same process on both sides. Then this spacer has countersunk pockets on one side. That countersink is going to go down. It's going to sit on there like that. And there's your 1/2 inch of leveling or lift, and it's going to be relatively identical with all of them. The 1/4 inch, the 1 inch, they're all a pretty similar setup. But I'm doing the 1/2 inch because I want it to sit level. I don't want to lower the car because the aggressive offset gives me some fender rub. Alright guys, this is all the short shift kit consists of. The cart boy's been around, and I'm actually going to point you guys, if you want to see how it's done or tutorial, to look at No Subs WRX's channel, because he does a really good video, and I'm not getting my phone up in there to record and do it at the same time, so I'm going to happily support somebody else's channel who I found out how to do it through anyways, so... So, well, sorry guys, it wasn't as action-packed as I had kind of planned. There's a lot of reasons there. I'm still on the phone. That's a little bit of a hang-up for a certain degree because I don't want to put my phone in a situation that I could potentially destroy my $1,000 investment. Not that I would be entirely hung up on destroying a $1,000 investment. I want to add cameras. I'd like to get a drone to do the cool rolling 360 shots when I do something with the car, that kind of stuff. But aside from that, we've been talking about finding like maybe some Gen 1, Gen 2, maybe even Gen 3 GoPros, something cheap that people are moving because it's not great, that I could get a handful of that I can put in precarious situations for doing B-roll and technical filming where it might be in a position that it could drop. Like the one video I did of us loading the machinery, I would have loved to have set a camera on the trailer facing, and you could watch it, come up. But, my phone's sitting there. Somebody shortchanges it, cases that camera. Well, when it's my phone, that's huge. So, aside from that, we'll get on to what we did. Now, of course, I did a Subtle Solutions 1/2-inch rear spacers. I believe they call them saggy butt spacers. And that is because the WRX, they all sit kind of squatting in the rear. And I have a fairly aggressive, oversized, wide fitment for my summer wheels. And I rub the sidewalls. A lot of people are afraid of rolling their own fenders, and I'll tell you what, I am a little bit too. But low and slow, baby. Keep heat on the paint so that the paint can flex, the metal can flex. And you do it a little bit at a time. That is what everybody says. And I think I'm going to go for it myself, because worst case scenario, if I crack some of the paint on the bottom of that fender, I can turn around and hit it, light sanding, do some wet sand, clean it up, turn around, and there's a body line on those fenders that I'll tape out front and rear, a big true production paint style, and I'll hit it with bed liner. The car is gray and black. I'll do it with a non-textured bed liner, hit the insides, hit the seams, added protection. So, now that I've done talking for a little bit about stuff that hasn't happened yet, let's talk about what we did. Obviously, like I said, we put the 1/2-inch spacers on the car. That cleaned it up really well. I really like it. And we put a Cartboy shift adjuster in it, a short throw shift. So basically what it does is it shortens the throw. That transmission is a cable driven. Bless you. That transmission is cable driven. And what that piece does is it replaces the factory piece. It's a shorter distance, so it reduces the length in your throw. And it only applies to one cable. And it applies to the cable that moves when you go forward and backwards. So first to second. It reduces the length of that throw. The second thing we did was the Cartboy shift stop. And when you're in first or second, you got a lot of play in your stick side to side. And that just helps you tighten that up. That short throw though, that is amazing. They claim it's 38%. And I'll tell you what, 38% is huge. I didn't realize it, but I would put this thing in gear, like when I was first put it all back together, and I'm checking it out, and I'm like, it's jammed. No, it wasn't jammed. It was already in gear. It was just so drastically reduced that I felt like I was just going into the gear. Hi, baby. I'll take her. So this will drastically reduce my ability to talk with my hands, guys. But it is a phenomenal thing. And frankly, I honestly think that if anybody out there has the WRX and they want to do this or even if you don't have one and you're just curious to see how it's done, check out No Subs WRX's page. And the reason I say that is, again, because when I talked about my phone being in danger, it wasn't a good setting for me to put my phone comfortably. I was out of position. It's not like I did this on a lift. It was jacked up. And I was sliding under there, and I'm a big boy. I was sliding in there tight. So if you want to see it, I would check out No_subs_WRX. And he has a pretty good video with really good views of it. And I think he deserves credit because that's where I found it to do it. The shift stop is super easy. You pull your boot up, you take 2 bolts out, you set this down, you put in the supply bolts going back through the 5th and 6th gear shift stop which is also what blocks off your reverse and allows your reverse lockout to stay functional. And it's super simple, guys. You put it in first gear, you wobble it around, make sure you got the play you want. Put it in second gear, wobble it around, make sure you got the play you want. Put it in fifth gear, sixth gear, make sure your play's good, tighten them down. So, the real tricky one was doing the lift kit or leveling kit or however you want to view it, the spacers in the rear. And I didn't get a lot of good footage on that either. And again, like I said, it's because of the phone. And I am going to explain it to you guys. There's a shot in there of doing it. And basically what you're going to want to do, if you're only doing that 1/2 inch or less, like I did, it's easy. So you unbolt that lower control arm from your hub assembly. You unbolt the shock and you unbolt your sway bar. You got play in that hub assembly and you can push that lower control arm down. Now it is imperative that you pull the trunk liner, and you're going to want to pull the whole trunk liner out. And there's 2 wings on the side that you're probably going to want to pull out too, just to give you a little bit more room. Not necessary. In the video, we also pulled the wheel well liner on one side. We did not do that on the second side. It was absolutely unnecessary. Instead of absolutely having to have a press or anything, when you guys go to drive out those bolts in the top of the shock mount, it's a trick that we've used for years, being on repair service and such. Thank you, Mom. Mm-hmm. That you take it, you find yourself a socket that the opening is just larger than what you're driving out. You set it down, you set it over top of it, you drive it out with a hammer. Okay. You're not reusing those bolts. If you're not going to reuse those bolts, they don't need to be saved. There's no need to be overly critical about them. If you want, you can throw a little bit of heat on that flange. It'll help, but it's not necessary. They're not pressed in that hard. I should have shown that on the video. I didn't. That's my bad, and I apologize to you guys. And that's all we really did. Like I said, it wasn't huge. It wasn't super time consuming either. Realistically, we had, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours into all of it. And I take that back. I'd say 4 hours. We had 4 hours into all of it. But some of that was just stuff that we were experimenting, trying different stuff and taking our time. We were in no rush. So we just kind of tinkered, fiddled, and figured stuff out. On that note, thank you guys for joining me. You know the drill. Like, share, subscribe, hit that button. I will catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy your day. Whoop. Hold up. See this? Wrenchworks. This is no sponsored thing or anything like that. I just want to shout out Greg Albarella. Greg A, as he's known. And I probably butchered Greg's last name. And for that, I apologize, Greg, if you happen to see this. But, huge fan right here. I had a fangirl moment for the KOS in, where's Dragway 42? It's in Ohio, West Salem. And I got to kind of help him and his wife. Dad and I helped him load some tires and stuff, and for me that was huge. I'm not into the pictures and that kind of stuff. Being able to be there and help a racer out, especially somebody who I'm a huge fan of, that's mind-blowing to me. But he is one of the inspirations of this channel, and I happen to have the fact that I have one of his shirts and his hat on is purely coincidental. But since I notice I have them both on, I gotta rep it. Now, for real, thank you guys. I'll catch you on the next one. Deuces.